While watching a cooking show on Netflix, there was this soup that kept coming back to my mind. Later, I found out that this Gomtang was selected by the New York Times as one of the top 8 best foods in New York in 2023. Can really recreate that flavor at home. So today, I tried making this soup in my own kitchen. Cut the radish into larger chunks and make a small slit at the roots of the onion. This is a peeled burdock root, sliced diagonally as well. Adding a bit of a burdock helps reduce any pork odor and makes the broth much cleaner and lighter. Cut 2 large green onions into larger pieces and add all the prepared vegetables to a larger pot. Rinse the dried shiitake mushrooms once before using. You can use dried or fresh shiitake, but adding a generous amount helps develop a clean yet deeply savory flavor over time. Slice the ginger so its aroma releases better. All of these ingredients help remove any pork smell and create a clear, refreshing broth. This is a pork shoulder I bought at Costco. If the pork is fresh, you can simply rinse it under running water. Place the pork in the pot with the fatty side facing down. And add enough water to fully cover the meat. At the restaurant in New York, they use a special pressure cooker, but at home, a large pot works just fine. Add about 1 tablespoon of whole black peppercorns. Start cooking over high heat with the lid off. Once it begins to boil, gently skim off the impurities on the surface. This helps keep the broth clear and clean. Cover the pot and simmer over medium heat for about 2.5 hours. If you have a fine strainer, it's helpful to skim off excess oil once in a while as it cooks. After about 2.5 hours, remove the fork first. Then take out all the vegetables. Now let's season the broth. At the New York Gomtang restaurant, they don't use any seasoning powders, only salt. For this amount of broth, add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of salt depending on your taste. I started with 2 tablespoons and tasted. The broth tastes so clean, light, and refreshing. After seasoning, strain the broth once more through a fine strainer or cheesecloth. You can use it right away, but for an even cleaner broth, store it in the refrigerator for about a day. The next day, remove the solidified fat from the top. This makes the broth much clearer and cleaner. Cut the cooked pork in half to make it easier to slice. Then wrap it tightly in plastic wrap. This helps the slices come out neat and even. Refrigerate the wrapped pork for about 1 day. Mix 2 cups of water with about 1.5 tablespoons of salt. These are mild, non-spicy Korean peppers. Pour the salt water over them and let them soak for 1 day. This will be used for a sauce to eat with the pork. The next day, roughly cut the soaked peppers with scissors and add them to a blender. Add 1 tablespoon of salted shrimp, 1 teaspoon of minced garlic, and 1 teaspoon of sugar, then blend well. Add 2 tablespoons of gochugaru and blend once more. This sauce is optional, but it pairs wonderfully with the pork. Thinly slice some scallions as well. Unwrap the chilled pork and cut it in half. It holds its shape beautifully. Slice the pork as thinly as possible. At the New York restaurant, they slice it extremely thin with a machine, and that really makes a difference. This is the broth that was stored in the refrigerator. Carefully remove all the solidified fat from the top. Once reheated, the broth becomes beautifully clear and clean. Rice is important too. It shouldn't be mush. Rice with an al dente-like texture works best. Then generously top it with thin sliced pork. Pour hot water over the pork and rice twice to rinse away excess fat and starch. Then add the prepared broth. Finish with sliced scallions on top. Your refreshing and clean pork gomtang is ready. Let's start with the broth. Wow, it's so light and refreshing. Clean with no pork smell at all. Take a piece of tender pork and add just a little of the chili sauce. This combination works beautifully. When you mix the rice into the broth, each grain absorbs the flavor and you just can't stop eating. I honestly finished every single grain of rice. Among all the soups I've tried, this was one of the most refreshing and satisfying bowls. Today, I made a pork gomtang loved in New York right at home. When you are craving a warm, comforting soup, give this one a try. Thank you so much for watching today.